When I met Ethan Bennett, I thought I had won the universe's rarest prize. He was steady. He was composed. He was attentive in a way that felt almost miraculous. After a childhood defined by my father's abandonment and my mother's exhaustion, Ethan's presence felt like stepping into sunlight after years of gray. He opened doors for me. He carried heavy bags without being asked. He checked that I got home safely after meeting friends. He texted me to make sure I ate lunch on time when I worked long hours. "You do so much," he would whisper while brushing my hair behind my ear. "Let me take care of you." At first, it felt like love. Real, safe, protective love. I married him believing I had found a man who wanted to build a life with me. A quiet suburban home. A garden full of roses. Evening walks. Shared meals. Shared dreams. For a long time, I believed I was happy. I believed I was safe. Looking back, I now understand that safety was an illusion carefully crafted to hide something far darker. Control does not arrive as a storm. It arrives as a soft breeze. Ethan rarely demanded things. He suggested them, encouraged them, wrapped them in warm, soothing words that made them seem logical, harmless, even loving. "Just share your location with me," he said once. "It helps me feel calmer knowing you are safe. Let me manage the finances. It will take the pressure off you. Give me your email passwords. If something urgent comes up, I can handle it for you. Please keep your phone off silent mode. I worry when you do not answer right away." The first time he asked for my phone passcode, he kissed my forehead and said, "We are married. We should not keep secrets." How do you argue with that without seeming distrustful or dramatic? So I gave it to him. Little by little, he collected pieces of my life. I did not see the danger in it. Not then. Control is quiet when it begins. It looks like love. It feels like care. It disguises itself as protection. And by the time you realize you are being watched, you are already inside the cage. The first camera was a video doorbell. Everyone in the neighborhood was buying one. It made sense, especially with Ethan's job in security consulting. At least, that is what he called it. He never explained the details. "Confidential clients," he said. He installed the doorbell camera one weekend. A week later, another camera appeared, this one for the backyard. Then another in the garage. Then one in the living room. "It is just for emergencies," he explained, brushing away my concern. "If someone breaks in while you are home, I will get an alert. I can check the cameras and call the police." He said it with such conviction that I believed him. He even showed me how to disable the living room camera when we were home together. "See? You can turn it off here," he said, demonstrating the switch on his phone. I trusted him. I trusted the illusion. But even then, something in the back of my mind whispered that the cameras were not only for protection. Sometimes when I sat on the couch reading, or cooked dinner in the kitchen, I felt a strange awareness. A tightening. The distinct sensation of being observed. But every time I looked at the camera, the recording light was off. So I convinced myself everything was fine. People ignore their instincts more often than you think. Especially in the name of love. The morning it all began unraveling was unremarkably ordinary. Rain. Coffee. Silence. I walked into the kitchen and saw Ethan's phone sitting on the counter, plugged into the charger, something he would never forget to grab. I picked it up and pressed the power button. Nothing happened. I tried again. The screen flickered faintly. A distorted line stretched across the top. Then black again. The display was broken. If Ethan came home to a non-functioning phone, he would have been furious, not yelling, not screaming, but disappointed. Cold. The kind of restrained disapproval that made me feel like I had failed him simply by existing. I told myself I was being a good wife. Helpful. Responsible. Considerate. So I slipped the phone into my purse, put on my coat, and drove through the rain to the small repair shop I had visited once before. The technician, a quiet man with tired eyes, greeted me with the same gentle professionalism I remembered. His name tag said Mark. "What seems to be the issue?" he asked. "My husband's phone will not turn on," I said. "The screen is flickering." I think he dropped it. Mark examined it, pressing a few buttons, connecting it to a diagnostic device. I am going to need the passcode, he said, just to run some tests. I hesitated. But I knew the passcode. Ethan had insisted that married couples should not hide things. I had given it to him years ago, believing the exchange was mutual. It is 0724, I said quietly. Mark entered it. The phone flickered, then lit up weakly through the damaged display. He tapped a few icons. Opened unfamiliar folders. Checked application logs. Then his expression changed. It hardened. It darkened. It sharpened into something deeply unsettling. He locked the phone. Unlocked it. Navigated faster. My anxiety grew. Is something wrong? I asked softly. Mark did not answer at first. Finally, he placed the phone down gently, as though it were a loaded weapon. Then he looked directly into my eyes and said, "Ma'am, is everything all right at home?" My stomach dropped. What do you mean? I asked. He turned the phone so I could see the screen. He tapped an icon that looked like a simple calculator. It opened into something else entirely. Lines of code. Hidden menus. A list of permissions that made my skin crawl. These are surveillance apps, Mark said. Multiple ones. All disguised. All hidden. I stared at him, confused. Surveillance. I repeated. Like security apps? He shook his head immediately. No. These monitor you. Your messages. Your location. Your conversations. Your movement inside the house. The room suddenly felt too small. Too bright. Too suffocating. He tapped another app. This one is connected to your home's smart system. Cameras. Door locks. Thermostat. Every device you have. My throat tightened. What does that mean? I whispered. It means your husband has full control of your home, Mark said softly. And full access to you. I felt as if the floor beneath me had vanished. He hesitated, then added the words that shattered the illusion of safety I had desperately clung to for years. I need you to take this seriously. If I were you, I would go home today, cancel your cards, and change the locks on your house. I stared at him, unable to breathe, unable to understand, unable to lie to myself any longer. When I stepped out of the repair shop, the world looked the same, but nothing felt the same. Cars still drove past. People still walked with grocery bags and umbrellas. The rain still fell in thin, drizzling sheets. But inside me, something had split open. The phone in my purse felt heavier than it should have, as if the secrets inside it had weight. As if every hidden app and every unauthorized recording were stones pressing down on my chest. I walked to my car on unsteady legs, opened the door, and slid into the driver's seat. For a long moment, I did not start the engine. I just stared through the windshield as raindrops united and slipped downward, distorting the world beyond. Cancel your cards. Change your locks. Mark's words echoed again and again in my mind. It would have been easier to believe he was exaggerating. It would have been comforting to dismiss him as paranoid or dramatic. But there had been no drama in his voice. No theatrics in his expression. Only calm. Only certainty. Only the kind of concern that comes from having seen situations like mine too many times. Situations where people convinced themselves they were safe until they were not. I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles turning white. Memories rose uninvited, sharp and vivid now that I knew what to look for. The time Ethan showed up at the cafe where I was working, even though I had never told him which cafe I had chosen that day. He smiled as he slid into the seat across from me. I had a feeling you might be here, he said. At the time, I believed him. I thought it was romantic. Coincidental. Fated. Now I knew better. He did not have a feeling. He had a location. The time I turned off my phone for a few hours because I felt overwhelmed and just wanted silence, and when I turned it back on, there were multiple missed calls and a string of messages from him. Where are you? Why is your phone off? Answer me, Laura. This is not funny. When I got home, He was sitting in the dark waiting. "I thought something had happened to you," he said. His voice shook just enough to make me feel guilty. He held me tightly that night, as if he had almost lost me. But now, as I sat in my car replaying that memory, I realized something chilling. He did not behave like a man who was afraid I was hurt. He behaved like a man who was angry he had lost track of me. As I drove home, my thoughts collided and tangled. One part of me wanted to protect him, to defend him, to cling to the image of the man I had married. He does this because he loves you. He is just cautious. He works in security. Maybe those apps are for work. The other part of me, the part that had ignored its own instincts for too long, finally began to speak up. He installed surveillance apps on his phone. He connected to every device in your home. He recorded you without your consent. He hid all of it. You did not imagine this. You did not create this. You did not agree to this. By the time I pulled into a gas station halfway home, my hands were shaking too badly to keep driving. I parked, turned off the engine, closed my eyes. "Think," I whispered to myself. "Just think." I reached for my own phone and opened the smart home application that Ethan had set up for us. The one he had encouraged me to use only at a surface level. "You can adjust the thermostat," he had said. "You can see who is at the front door. That is all you need." But now, I knew there was more. I navigated past the simple controls. I opened the device list. The names stared back at me like a confession. Doorbell camera online. Living room camera online. Backdoor camera online. Garage camera online. Kitchen motion sensor online. Bedroom mic online. Bedroom camera online. My heart stopped. Bedroom camera. I did not know about a bedroom camera. He had never told me there was a camera in our bedroom. I could barely breathe as I scrolled further down. Smart lock, remote override, enabled. Alarm system, remote control, enabled. Lights, remote control, enabled. He could lock me in. He could lock me out. He could watch me sleep. He could listen to everything I said. I opened the recordings folder with trembling fingers. Dozens of video thumbnails appeared, all stamped with dates and times. Some from mid-morning. Some from late afternoon. Many from the middle of the night. I tapped one. The video opened. It was our bedroom. The angle showed the entire space from above the closet. I could see the bed, the dresser, the door, the window. And on the bed, under the blanket, curled on my side, was me. Sleeping. I watched for 3 seconds before slamming the video closed. I felt sick. I opened another video from a week earlier. It showed me walking into the bedroom after a shower, wrapped in a towel, completely unaware that my own husband had set up a hidden vantage point above my head. I slammed the video closed again, bile rising in my throat. I dropped the phone onto the passenger seat and clutched my stomach, forcing myself to take deep, slow breaths. It was true. Mark had been right. This was not a misunderstanding. This was not a harmless collection of security measures. This was systematic, organized surveillance. And I was the target. By the time I reached our street, the rain had faded into a fine mist. The sky was a dull, colorless gray. Kids rode their bikes on the sidewalk. A neighbor waved from her front yard. The world did not look any different. But the house with the blue front door, the one I used to think looked so pretty, so inviting, now looked menacing. I parked in the driveway and sat still for a moment, staring at the door. He could be watching me right now. He could have an app open on his phone, seeing exactly when I arrived, zooming in on my face, reading the fear in my eyes. The idea made my skin crawl. I stepped out of the car anyway, clutching my purse tightly. My legs felt heavy, as if the air itself were trying to hold me back. I walked to the door, unlocked it, and stepped into the living room. The normal sounds of home were the same. The faint hum of the refrigerator. The ticking of the clock in the hallway. The distant drip of the kitchen faucet that Ethan always said he would fix someday. But now, another sound filled my mind. A buzzing. A ringing. The sound of my own awareness waking up after years of being lulled to sleep. My eyes went immediately to the camera above the bookshelf. A tiny black device. Unblinking. It gave away nothing. I wondered how many times it had watched me cry after a fight. How many times it had seen me change clothes partially out of frame, believing I had privacy. How many times Ethan had replayed that footage to study my reactions. I moved through the house room by room, each step slow, deliberate, as if I were walking through a stranger's home. In the kitchen, I scanned every corner. In the hallway, I checked the smoke detectors. In the bedroom, I stood in the center of the room and looked up. My eyes caught on something small and almost unnoticeable. A tiny camera, cleverly placed near the upper molding, tucked into what looked like a decorative sensor. My stomach twisted. How long had it been there? How many hours of footage existed of me in the most intimate, vulnerable moments of my life? My knees felt weak. I sat on the edge of the bed, the silence pressing against me. I had two choices. I could stay and pretend I did not know, letting fear and denial swallow me again. Or I could accept the truth and act. I had never been very good at being brave. But in that moment, something inside me decided. I am not going to live like this anymore. I went back to the dining table, pulled out my chair, and sat down with shaking hands. From my purse, I took out the small card Mark had slipped to me before I left the repair shop. It was not a business card for his store. It was for a local domestic violence and abuse support line. The words on the card blurred as tears filled my eyes. I had never seen myself as someone who might need to call a number like this. Ethan had never hit me. He had never screamed at me. He had never thrown anything. But he had done something else. He had entered my life, wrapped me in comfort, gained my trust, and then quietly taken away my privacy, my autonomy, and my sense of safety. Abuse does not always leave bruises you can see. Sometimes it leaves you questioning your own perception. Sometimes it leaves you afraid to be inside your own home. Sometimes it leaves you monitored and controlled in ways you do not even notice until someone else shows you the evidence. My hands trembled as I dialed the number on the card. The phone rang. Once. Twice. Then a calm female voice answered. "Thank you for calling. My name is Hannah. How can I help you today?" For a moment, I could not speak. I swallowed hard, forcing words past the tightness in my throat. "I think my husband is watching me," I said. Not metaphorically. Literally. Through cameras. Through my phone. Through the house. Hannah did not sound shocked. She did not sound skeptical. Her voice was gentle, steady. "Take a deep breath," she said. "You did the right thing by calling. Are you safe right now?" I looked around the room slowly. Was I safe? I was alone in the house. The doors were closed. It was daytime. But safety suddenly felt like a distant concept. "I do not know," I admitted. "I think he could be watching or listening even now." "Are you using a phone he might have access to?" she asked carefully. "Yes," I whispered. "It is my phone, but I am not sure what he has installed on it." "Is there another place you could go to call us from?" she asked. "A neighbor's house, your car, somewhere he would not expect you to be right now?" I hesitated. "He is at work," I said. "He should not be home for a few hours." "Should not," she repeated gently. "We must be careful with should." I let out a shaky breath. "I understand," I said. She walked me through a few safety questions. Did I have access to my own money? Did I have friends or family I could trust? Did Ethan ever restrain me physically? Had he ever threatened to harm me or himself if I left? Answering some of those questions was painful. No, he had not hit me. But yes, he had threatened to lock the house down if I ever tried to leave during an argument. He had once said, "You will never outsmart me, Laura. I always know what is going on." At the time, I thought it was just a jealous joke. Now I knew it was a warning. "Based on what you are describing," Hannah said gently, "you are in a controlling and potentially dangerous situation. The surveillance, the tracking, the hidden cameras, this is not normal. This is not love." Tears rolled down my cheeks. "I feel stupid," I whispered. "You are not stupid," she replied firmly. "You trusted someone who took advantage of that trust. That is not stupidity. That is vulnerability. And it is not your fault. Her words sank into me slowly, like light reaching a dark room. Do you want help creating a plan? She asked. You do not have to decide anything right now. But you do not have to face this alone. A plan. The word felt like a lifeline. Yes, I said quietly. Please. Together, over the phone, we began to sketch the outline of my escape. First, she told me to gather essential documents in one place where I could access them quickly. Identification cards, passport, bank information, any cash I could manage. Second, she suggested I identify a safe location I could go to somewhere Ethan would not think to look immediately. A friend's house, a family member's apartment, a shelter. The truth burned in my throat. I do not have many people, I admitted. I lost touch with most of my friends. I always told myself I was just busy. But I think I pulled away from them because he did not like them. That is very common, she said gently. Abusive partners isolate without always using force. Sometimes it happens through subtle discouragement. Sometimes through guilt. Sometimes through false concern. I closed my eyes. Ethan had said things like, "She is a bad influence. He does not really care about you. They are jealous of our relationship." Slowly, I had stopped seeing them. Slowly, my world had shrunk down to just him. Hannah continued. "We can help you find a temporary shelter if needed," she said. "But if you prefer to stay with someone you know, that is also an option." I thought of one person. My older cousin, Amanda. We had not spoken in over a year, but she had always been kind to me. She had once said, after a family reunion where Ethan had dominated every conversation, "If you ever need a place to breathe, my door is open." At the time, I had brushed it off. Now, the memory felt like an open window. "I might have somewhere I can go," I said softly. "Good," Hannah replied. "Next, I want you to think about timing. When would be the safest time for you to leave? You mentioned he is at work right now. Does he come home at the same time every day?" "Usually around 7, I said. "Sometimes later." "And what time is it now?" I checked the clock on the wall. "It is 2:30 in the afternoon." "You have some time," she said. "If you decide to leave today, you could prepare what you need and go before he returns. But this is your choice. No one can make it for you." I stared at the wall, my mind racing. Today. Could I leave today? Could I walk away from the house I helped decorate, the life I had built, the man I promised to love in front of friends and family? Could I do it without looking back? Fear rose inside me, enormous and consuming. But beneath the fear, something else whispered. "If you stay, what will happen next?" Hannah's voice brought me back. "Whatever you choose," she said, "remember this. You are not overreacting. You are not crazy. Your instincts are trying to protect you. Please listen to them." "I will try," I whispered. "Is there anything else you want to ask me before we end this call?" she asked. "Yes," I said softly. "What if he finds out I know?" She did not answer immediately. Then she said, honestly, "Then you must leave sooner." 1. Packing what a life is made of. I moved through the house with the careful precision of someone defusing a bomb. Every sound felt too loud. Every movement felt like it echoed through the walls. I retrieved my passport from the drawer in the office. My birth certificate from the fireproof box under the stairs. My laptop. My medications. A small amount of emergency cash I kept tucked inside a recipe book. Each item felt like a piece of my life I was reclaiming. I packed them into a small backpack, the type you would take on a weekend trip, not big enough to raise suspicion if someone saw it, but big enough to hold what mattered most. As I zipped the bag, my throat tightened. This was real. I was leaving. And once I stepped outside this house, nothing would be the same again. Then, suddenly, something inside me whispered, "What if he comes home early?" The thought chilled me. Ethan sometimes returned home at random times, claiming a meeting ended early or a project finished ahead of schedule. He liked unpredictability. He said it made life exciting. Now I knew it was a tactic. If I never knew when he would arrive, I could never hide anything from him. I tightened the backpack straps and took one last look around the bedroom. My wedding ring glinted faintly on the nightstand lamp. I picked it up, held it in my palm, stared at it. 8 years. 8 years of believing I was cherished. 8 years of believing I was protected. In reality, I had been monitored, tracked, observed like an experiment. I placed the ring in the drawer. I did not want to carry it with me. Not anymore. I was halfway down the stairs when my phone buzzed in my pocket. I froze. I pulled it out slowly. A message from Ethan. Hey love. Meetings ended early. Heading home soon. Want takeout? My blood ran cold. It was only 3:15. He never came home this early. Never. My heart slammed against my ribs. Was this a coincidence? Or did he know something? I typed back with trembling fingers. Takeout sounds nice. I will see you soon. I forced myself to add a smiling emoji. My hand shook as I hit send. Then I looked around the house, panic rising in my chest. He could be home in minutes. Seconds. He drove fast. He often surprised me. I needed to hide the bag. I needed to disappear into normalcy. I needed to pretend everything was fine. I shoved the backpack behind the couch in the living room, the one place Ethan never checked or cleaned. Then I sat on the couch and opened a book, though the words blurred into meaningless shapes. I waited. My entire body trembled. Minutes stretched like hours. Then, the front door opened. Softly. Quietly. Too quietly. Laura. His voice floated into the room, warm and familiar. I swallowed hard. I am in here, I called back, forcing my tone to sound light. He walked into the living room with an easy smile, shaking rain from his jacket. You will not believe the day I had, he said. You okay? You seem off. Off. The word made my skin prickle. I smiled weakly. Just tired. It has been a long day. He studied me, his eyes sharp even behind the softness. You left the house earlier, he said. It was not an accusation. It was a statement. A fact he somehow already knew. Oh, I replied as casually as I could. Just to get some groceries. He nodded slowly, still watching me. Where else did you go? My throat tightened. Nowhere, I said quickly. Just the store. His expression did not change, but something in the air did. It thickened. It pressed. It shifted into something dangerously close to suspicion. He hung his jacket on the back of a chair, then walked toward me with slow, deliberate steps. He sat beside me and brushed a strand of hair behind my ear. You know, he murmured, I always know when something is wrong with you. My stomach twisted violently. That is what love is, he added softly. He kissed my cheek. I fought the urge to flinch. Did you touch my phone today? He asked gently. My heart nearly stopped. Everything inside me screamed. He knows. He knows. He knows. But I forced myself to breathe and look confused. Your phone. I repeated. No. I saw it on the counter this morning, but I did not touch it. For a long moment, he just stared at me. Then, slowly, a smile returned to his face. All right, he said softly, thank you for telling me. The relief I felt was not relief at all. It was dread curling deeper into my bones. Ethan stood up, walked into the kitchen, and rummaged in a drawer. When he returned, he was holding a small metallic device. At first, I could not tell what it was. Then he placed it on the coffee table. A GPS tracker. For a moment, my mind refused to process it. This, he said calmly, was attached to your car. My stomach dropped. No. 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 I removed it yesterday, he went on, watching me carefully. Looks like someone has been keeping tabs on you. He was testing me. Every instinct screamed that this was a trap. That is terrifying, I whispered. Do you think someone is stalking us? He tilted his head, assessing my reaction. I do not know, he said. But you should tell me if you ever feel unsafe.
You tell me everything, right?
I nodded quickly. Yes. Of course. He studied my face for a long, suffocating moment. Then he finally leaned back. I will take care of it, he said. I always take care of you. The words no longer sounded comforting. They sounded like ownership.
A threat disguised as devotion.
I nodded again, unable to trust my voice. Good girl, he whispered.
The phrase made my skin crawl.
For the next 2 hours, I sat silently beside him on the couch. He watched television. He commented on the news. He reached for my hand occasionally. To anyone else, it would have looked like a quiet evening between a loving couple. But beneath the surface, something monstrous lurked. Every time he looked away, I breathed carefully. Every time he shifted, my heart jolted. Every second, I wondered. Does he know? Did the repair shop call him? Did the surveillance apps alert him? Did he notice something in the house?
I could not endure it.
At 6:15, I stood and forced a smile. I am going to lie down, I said.
I feel a little sick.
He looked up at me, studying me again. Are you sure you are okay? He asked. Yes. Just tired. He nodded slowly. All right. Rest. I will be right here. I walked to the bedroom as calmly as my trembling legs allowed.
I closed the door. I pressed my back against it.
Then I let out a breath that felt like it had been trapped inside me for years. I had to get out. Now.
Tonight.
Before he discovered everything. Before he did something far worse. The front door had a camera. The back door had a camera. The garage had sensors. The alarm system would alert him if I tried to disable it. The kitchen motion detector would activate if I walked through it. He had designed a perfect trap. He believed I would never notice it. But he forgot one thing. Traps always have weaknesses. I opened the smart home app again, scrolling quickly through the device list. And then I saw it.
Upstairs guest room sensor, disabled. The only device offline.
The only blind spot in the entire house. The room with the old wooden trellis outside the window.
My escape route.
I grabbed my backpack from its hiding place and slung it over my shoulder. Then I opened the bedroom door a crack. I listened. The television hummed. Ethan murmured to himself.
A glass clinked against the coffee table.
He was distracted. This was my chance. I moved silently down the hallway, then slipped into the guest room and closed the door gently behind me. My heart pounded so loudly I feared the entire house could hear it. I went to the window. Unlocked it. Slid it open. Cold air rushed in. Freedom. I climbed onto the dresser beneath the window.
Gripped the frame. Pulled myself outside. My foot touched the trellis.
It held. I climbed down slowly, carefully.
Every sound felt dangerous.
Every movement felt like a gamble. But I made it.
My feet hit the ground.
I exhaled. Then heard it. The front door opening. Not soft. Not quiet. Slamming.
Laura. His voice tore through the air.
Not tender. Not loving.
Sharp. Frantic. Possessive. I froze for only a moment before I ran.
Across the side yard. Toward the neighbor's property. Toward the faint possibility of safety. Behind me, I heard his footsteps pounding.
Laura.
I did not look back. Not once. I darted past bushes, crossed the edge of the lawn. And a car screeched to a stop in front of me. Headlights blinding.
The driver's door flew open.
It was Ethan. He stepped out slowly, his breathing steady, too steady. Come home, he said softly. Now. His tone was gentle. His eyes were not. The moment Ethan stepped out of the car, everything around me grew eerily quiet. No cars passing.
No dogs barking. No wind rustling through the trees. Only the sound of my own heartbeat pounding in my ears and Ethan's slow footsteps pressing into the wet grass.
His face was calm.
Almost gentle.
But his eyes were burning. Laura, he said softly, taking another step toward me, you are scared, and that is all right.
I forgive you for running. Come home with me now.
We can talk. We can fix this. Fix this. Fix me. As if I were the broken piece in this marriage.
I shook my head slowly. No, I whispered. I am not going anywhere with you.
His smile thinned, as if he were trying to hold his expression together, piece by piece. You do not mean that, he said. You are overwhelmed. You have always struggled with anxiety.
I know this is just your fear talking.
My fear?
My fear had saved my life tonight.
My fear had opened my eyes. My fear was not the enemy. He stepped closer again.
I stepped back.
Ethan, please stop, I said, my voice cracking. Please stop. He repeated softly, like he was testing the words. After everything I have done to protect you. I swallowed hard. You were not protecting me, I said.
You were watching me.
A muscle in his jaw flicked.
I watch because I care. I check because I love you.
Every man wishes he could know his wife is safe every second of the day. I am the only one who actually does it. That is not love, I whispered. That is control. His face twitched. You have no idea what you are talking about, he said, his voice tightening. I do, I said, trembling. I saw the apps.
I saw the recordings.
I know about the cameras in the bedroom. His expression fractured. I had never seen him look like that. Not angry. Not shocked. But exposed. Cornered. Stripped of the story he told himself. So, he said quietly, you touched my phone. It was not a question. It was a sentence. I felt the ground tilt beneath me. He took one step toward me. I took 2 steps back. Do not run, he said softly. If you run again, I will get angry. Angry. The word sliced through me. Until that moment, Ethan had never once raised his voice at me. He had never shouted, never hit, never broken anything. But now I understood something chilling. Men like Ethan do not need to use their fists. Their power lies in their control. Their threats. Their surveillance. Their ability to make you believe you cannot live without them. He reached into his pocket. For one terrifying second, I thought he might pull out a weapon. Instead, he held up his phone. His thumb hovered above the screen. You do not want me to use this, he said quietly.
A shiver ran up my spine.
What does that mean? I whispered. It means, he said, that if you come with me now, everything stays calm.
If you do not, I will lock the house down.
I will disable your car.
I will set off the alarm.
I will call the police and tell them you are having an episode. I will tell them you are a danger to yourself. My blood turned to ice. He could do all of those things. And he knew it. You cannot control me anymore, I said, though my voice shook. For the first time, his mask cracked completely. His eyes widened. His lips pulled back. His voice dropped to a whisper. You do not get to leave me. I ran. I did not think. I did not plan. I just ran. Across the lawn. Toward the darkest part of the street. Toward the faint glow of a porch light several houses down.
Behind me, I heard. Laura.
His footsteps thundered after me.
I pushed harder, lungs burning, vision blurring, shoes slipping on wet grass. The world narrowed to one desperate goal.
Get away. My legs shook violently, threatening to give out. Then, I slipped. My foot skidded on mud. My body pitched forward.
I hit the ground hard, my shoulder slamming into the base of a tree.
Pain shot through me. Behind me, his footsteps slowed. Purposeful. Measured.
Like a hunter approaching wounded prey.
I scrambled backward, pushing myself with my elbows, trying to stand, but my ankle throbbed in protest. He stepped into the faint glow of a street lamp, breathing hard but smiling gently.
Laura, he murmured, look what you made me do. I shook my head, tears streaking down my cheeks.
Do not come near me. He crouched down, lowering himself to my level. You will come home now, he said softly. We will reset the system. We will put everything back the way it was. You will not have to worry anymore. I shook violently. You cannot make me stay. Oh, Laura, he whispered. I already have.
A voice cut through the air.
A strong, commanding voice.
Sir.
Step away from her. Both Ethan and I froze. We turned toward the street. A police car had stopped halfway down the block. 2 officers were approaching. Flashlights drawn. Hands near their holsters. Ethan rose slowly to his feet, his expression morphing instantly into something calm, composed, harmless. "Officers," he said, "thank goodness you are here. My wife is having a panic attack. She ran out of the house, and I was trying to get her somewhere safe." One officer stepped between us immediately. The other stood in front of Ethan. "Sir," the officer said firmly, "do not come any closer." Ethan held up his hands in a peaceful gesture. "I understand.
I am not a threat.
She just gets overwhelmed sometimes." The officer turned to me. "Ma'am, are you hurt?" he asked. "Do you feel safe?"
My voice caught in my throat.
Ethan answered for me. "She is fine," he said smoothly. "She just needs to come home with me. We will talk." "Sir," the officer interjected sharply, "I was not speaking to you." A crack of anger flashed in Ethan's eyes. The officer knelt beside me. "Ma'am," he said gently, "do you feel safe with him?"
Everything inside me trembled. Years of silence. Years of control.
Years of conditioning telling me to protect him, obey him, avoid making him angry. Then I remembered.
The hidden camera in the bedroom. The recordings.
The apps. The threat in his voice.
I inhaled shakily. "Now," I whispered.
"I do not feel safe." Ethan snapped. "What are you talking about?" he shouted.
"Laura, stop this. You are confused.
You do not know what you are saying." The officers quickly moved between us as he lunged forward.
"Sir."
"Back up," one shouted. Ethan's face contorted with rage, raw, unmasked, terrifying. "Laura," he screamed. "You cannot do this.
You belong with me.
You are mine." His voice echoed through the quiet neighborhood. For the first time, I saw him clearly. Not as the loving husband he pretended to be, but as the man he truly was. A man who believed ownership was love. Control was care.
Surveillance was devotion. A man who could never allow me to be free.
The officers restrained him as he struggled, shouting my name until his voice broke. I turned away. And I did not look back. That night, the police drove me to a women's shelter. They gave me a warm blanket.
A private room. A door I could lock from the inside.
A sense of safety I had forgotten was possible. I cried until my chest ached. The next morning, a detective named Harris came to speak with me. He listened quietly as I explained everything: the apps, the cameras, the control, the technician's warning. When I finished, he said, "Laura, based on what you have described, your husband has committed multiple criminal offenses. What you experienced is a textbook case of coercive control. And you are not the first woman to report him."
My breath caught.
"There are others?" I whispered. "Yes," Detective Harris replied. "We have been investigating him for months."
You are brave for coming forward.
Your statement may help protect others too. For the first time, I felt a flicker of strength inside me.
Not enough to erase the fear.
But enough to stand. Enough to choose myself. Within days, Ethan was arrested. Within weeks, I filed for divorce.
And the house with the blue door? I never stepped inside it again.
I moved in with my cousin Amanda, who welcomed me with open arms and tearful relief. I began rebuilding my life slowly, piece by piece. Therapy. Support groups. New routines. New friends.
New boundaries.
It was not easy.
Healing never is.
But every day, I became more myself. Every day, I stepped further away from the woman who thought control was love.
Every day, I grew stronger.
And one night, months later, I realized something. I was free. Truly free.